This is Whether or Not.
Welcome into a very special edition of Whether or Not as we take a look back at the famous or infamous White Christmas of 1989, the one, the only White Christmas in the history of the Grand Strand.
Yeah, if you're a weather fanatic, welcome in. If you've never heard of this, once again, welcome in. Make that cup of hot cocoa and grab your favorite Christmas snack, and let's look back at what I know I'm going to be very jealous of.
Yeah, a really remarkable event. I kind of thought what we would do is sort of take a look back at not just the storm itself, but how that storm happened. And what I find really interesting, of course, this was 1989. Forecasting capabilities weren't quite what they are today. So we're going to take a look back at how the forecast changed as that event really unfolded and ended up being, for most of this area, the greatest snowstorm on record that just happened to also be at Christmas.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's deep dive into it. Obviously, we know the cold air has to be in place. We've talked about this many times with snow sets in the past. And boy, oh boy, was it not only cold, it was bitter cold coming in with this cold front, Jamie.
Yeah, and this happened on Thursday, December 21st, 1989. Really powerful cold front blew through. The cold air behind this was actually setting record low temperatures as it was coming across the Canadian border, across the Dakotas, Minnesota, down into Kansas, Nebraska, Illinois, were all setting record low temperatures as that cold began to settle in. And by the time we got into that Thursday night, the night of December 21st, that cold air was definitely in place. And here was the forecast. Let's do a throwback to the forecast on 7 a.m. Friday, December 22nd.
I feel like we need the music here.
I know, right?
We need the text-to-speech type of voice here. But yeah, bitter cold coming in, and this is what made this system so unique. You had the cold air in place, and when you're back in 1989, model capabilities aren't what they are today. So you're looking at a forecast where it's sunny and cold, high pressure moving in, temperatures in the 30s, eventually in the teens there for nights. You'll notice even as we go into Christmas Day, temperatures high of 40. Going to be a nice Christmas, cold and sunny as we go into that.
Yes. Now keep in mind the time frame there, 7 a.m. Friday, December 22nd. But what was happening? Well, the bitter cold air had overspread basically the entire eastern and southern part of the United States. That cold front was stalling down across central and south Florida, and then things started to happen.
This is where the meteorology of this is just so beautiful. You get a cold air mass coming through. We refer to that in the weather world as a trough. So you get a piece of upper level energy to move in and grab some of the moisture from it, from the Gulf of Mexico. And watch out. This is where things began to happen and where we started to see signs that we would potentially be dealing with something, especially down the road. So this is still Friday for perspective, but you'll notice things started to happen quick.
Yeah, things started to change. That moisture started to move north from the Gulf of Mexico. It started to run into that bitter cold air. How about Jacksonville, Florida, had been dealing with a cold rain by 6 o'clock that evening on December 22nd. That changed over to sleet. Savannah started to pick up light snow at around 7 p.m. that Friday, and Charleston also started to see some of that light snow beginning during the evening on December 22nd. And the forecast was starting to change by that point. Folks at the National Weather Service, which at that time was located in Columbia, were like, yeah, okay, it's not going to be sunny and clear anymore.
Yeah, 7 a.m. the day of. Now it's 4 p.m. and this comes on. Snow advisory in effect through Saturday morning. Tonight, bitter cold with now an 80% chance of snow. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, snow and blowing snow. Look at that low temperature near 15 for Saturday, the 23rd. Windy and cold. Snow ending. Snow accumulation only 1 to 2 inches. That would certainly be worthy of excitement anytime in Myrtle Beach, but a couple of days before Christmas, 1 to 2 inches was certainly wonderful, but things were not done just yet. Look at this.
Yeah, upper level energy, like we talked about as we were looking on your Friday, starts to swing its way through the Gulf of Mexico. And if you've been with us on WMBF before, Jamie and I have talked about this. You get a low pressure to form far enough south, the sweet spot south of Jacksonville.
Yep.
Things can happen, especially when the cold air is already in place. And this sets up for a surprise as people start to go throughout their Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. This is 7 a.m. Saturday, December 23rd. That low pressure began to develop off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida, off the coast of the Carolinas. Remember that forecast of 1 to 2 inches of snow? Well, already by 7 a.m. that Saturday, there was 5 inches on the ground in Myrtle Beach. It was snowing heavily. 2 inches on the ground in Charleston, snowing heavily up the road in Wilmington. They also had 5 inches of snow on the ground and still snowing heavily at 7 a.m. on Saturday. And then, well, the forecast really started to play catch up. The winter storm warning was finally issued at 7 a.m. Saturday, December 23rd, when it was 18 degrees and snowing in Myrtle Beach.
And keep in mind, this isn't just snow, this is now wind as well. With the developing low pressure, gusts to 35 miles per hour, wind chills near 5 below as we go throughout Saturday.
Yeah, really remarkable, not just that it was snowing, but that it was so incredibly bitter cold while it was snowing, with temperatures in the teens, virtually unheard of here around this area. Notice the accumulation again, as you mentioned, Andrew, had been bumped up to 8 inches. Now keep in mind there was already 5 inches on the ground. Let's take you through the day Saturday, 7 p.m. Saturday evening, December 23rd. That storm had reached its peak intensity, and it was just absolutely raging across the eastern Carolinas.
Yeah, moisture continued to get pulled in from, once again, the Atlantic. That dumps on the northwest side of this low pressure. So much moisture with this, though, and what I love is there were flurries in Tampa and Daytona Beach. That shows you how strong this low pressure system was, but also look how strong the cold air was. 17 degrees in Wilmington, 19 degrees in Myrtle Beach, with that wind factored in with the snow. Yeah, near blizzard conditions Saturday night.
Yeah, up there by Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, down through Morehead City and New Bern, they were seeing winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour with that heavy snow. Winds here across the Grand Strand were gusting 30 to 35 miles per hour. You people up north, you know what blowing and drifting snow is. That's not something we see down here in the Carolinas very often, but snow drifts were already starting to reach a couple of feet here across the area. Imagine this, it's Saturday, December 23rd. You open the door in Myrtle Beach that afternoon and this is what it looks like.
I mean, you're not accustomed to it. We're not, and we've said this, we're not built for this, especially back in 1989. You know, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be cold and sunny, and next day, here's what you're going to with inches of snow on the ground. Yeah, snowstorm cripples coast.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Perfect headline.
Yeah, imagine just, you know, we've seen, if you've been around here long enough, you've seen what an inch of snow will do.
Yeah.
A little bit of freezing rain, a little bit of sleet. We are completely shut down. So now we're talking already 10 to 15 inches of snow on the ground 2 days before Christmas. Yeah, everything was absolutely shut down. People were having to call police cars and fire departments, especially places like the hospitals, to get them back and forth to work because the roads were just completely untreated. We don't have the snow plows. We don't have the equipment, as you mentioned, to take care of things like that. And it still wasn't done. Let's take you into Sunday. It is now Christmas Eve, 1989, 7 a.m. The storm has sort of passed its peak. It's slowly pulling away, but it was a slow process, and there was still snow coming down across the eastern Carolinas all the way down into Charleston and the Grand Strand. It was still snowing 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and this was the scene. By this point, the snow totals for most areas near the beaches were up and over a foot.
Yeah, I just can't imagine what this is like. Obviously, we've seen snow like this back home for me, but to see it here in Myrtle Beach, yeah, flakes continue to come down. And I mean, this is something you would see in the Northeast. Keep in mind, this is Christmas Eve now as we go through, and yeah, just literally covered in inches and inches, and some places a foot now of snow.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable snowstorm. And again, absolutely paralyzed by the snow. One of the things I love to do is go back and read some of the comments, read people's stories, listen to their stories. Cherry Grove, the only place that stayed open through the entire storm was Bolanos. the grocery store. Everybody was in a panic, the last minute shoppers, to run to Bolanos to pick up their last minute Christmas gifts. Imagine the kids who were getting what, a head of lettuce and a pack of meat for Christmas because the only place open was Bolanos, the grocery store up there in Cherry Grove.
Well, I mean, completely just think about just your planning aspect of Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm such a planner that this comes in and this is where you're at. So let's go ahead and talk about the snow totals because they added up and they added up quick.
Remarkable. The big winner, at least officially, as far as a National Weather Service report, came in at Wilmington at 17.5 inches. But unofficial reports, and I've seen some rulers and some snow, Cherry Grove was around 18 inches. Areas near Longs and Whiteville coming in with around 19 inches of snow. You can see Loris there, 14.5 inches. Myrtle Beach coming in with a solid 14 inches of snow.
And don't forget about it, people inland as well, picking up on it, depending on where you were. Florence, 4.5 inches. But what I love still, Jacksonville, Florida, 3 inches,
3 inches of snow. Yeah, and even enough to measure a trace, which is basically a dusting as far south as Daytona Beach in Florida from this historic storm. But there's another aspect to this storm that sort of gets forgotten about. We've been talking about that bitter cold that we had while the snow was coming down. Well, the storm pulled away, pulled in one last shot of absolutely incredible Arctic air. So let's take you now to Christmas Day, 1989, 7 a.m. Look at these temperatures.
Yeah, cold air coming in, and if you're from the Northeast, you know how this works. You get snow on the ground, we call that your snowpack. That drops temperatures as well. So you not only have cold coming in, but the cold from the snow, and this is what you're waking up to on Christmas morning. Keep in mind, roads still shut down, the city shut down, 4 degrees in Myrtle Beach, 0 in Florence.
Yeah, 0 in Florence and Wilmington, Whiteville just across the border, 2 below 0. A few other honorable mentions that didn't make it onto the map here. Marion, 4 below 0. Darlington, 2 below 0. Look at even Charleston down to 0 degrees. Notice Charlotte, 5 degrees below 0. I was just a wee 13-year-old watching the beautiful pictures of the snow in Myrtle Beach while it was cloudy and bitter cold. But it was so cold, my grandparents lived on Lake Norman, just north of Charlotte. Christmas morning, I walked all the way across Lake Norman. It was frozen that completely solid, which was something that most people around there had never seen before. So yeah, I opened my presents and walked across Lake Norman.
And I remember too, seeing this photo when I first moved down to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, when can I ever see a view like this? And I'm still crossing my fingers. Beautiful sunrise, the snow on Christmas morning, and the beach in the background.
And it takes you a double take to, oh, it's just a normal sunrise. And you look closer and you're like, oh, that's not sand. That is 14 inches of snow in Myrtle Beach. And at Christmas morning, again, that really famous picture coming in from Ralph Joyner of the sunrise Christmas morning with the palm trees and that snow on the ground. Certainly was an absolutely remarkable snowstorm. Meteorologically, it's just something I absolutely love to study, but what we were just talking about before we started the show, it happened once, it can happen again.
Weather and history often repeat themselves.
Yeah. It may not happen on Christmas.
And it may not happen when we're around.
But it's happened before, so it will indeed happen again.
Fingers crossed for those that are always dreaming of a white Christmas. Of course, if you have any photos or maybe you were alive during this and in the area, let us know.
Yeah.
We're always looking for new photos and videos or even stories.
Yeah.
You can message Jamie or myself, Twitter, Facebook, and also on our First Alert weather page. Let's stay in the Christmas spirit.
All right.
And let's take you to some of our photos here. How about some frost? Microscopic view on the wind chill here. This coming in from Debbie, just to get you in that cold feel. No, it's not going to be a white Christmas.
That's as close as we can get a zoomed in shot of some frost.
This is it for us. And obviously, still dreaming of what we could see.
Yeah, and we do have some more frosty nights and mornings on the way as we work our way into the couple days leading up to Christmas. And we also have more lights to look at as our Light Up the Night competition continues. Look at this one coming in from Brandon Runnels, looking absolutely beautiful there. Man, every square inch of that place decorated and looking amazing.
And what I love about this is I didn't notice it, but if you look closely, they even planted fake snow across the entire lawn.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
I'm going to have to get one of those snowmen.
1989 might not be happening, but you can make
Right,
snow.
we can make it happen.
And give that Christmas feel out there. Of course, we want to remind you that you can send your photos to us. We love it. Even if you keep your photos up through January, you can send them to us on WBF News or even through that news app. And you could even enter to win that free annual gym membership out there as we slowly get here to wrap up that Christmas season. Certainly going to continue to dream and look back at this show.
Yeah.
What a fun episode.
Yeah, really, really fun. So that's going to do it for us for the rest of this year. Going to take a little break from Weather or Not as we head through the rest of the holidays, but back with a brand new start for the start of 2025.
And this is where I have to say the dad joke. We'll see you next year.